Looking at this function, what is A, H, and K? What is A? A is -1 because that's what's in front. H is under and opposite, but do you notice that there's nothing under, just X? So what does that mean H is? H is 0. K is what? What's the number in the backyard? 2. All right, so go ahead. Whenever you apply your transformations, you're always adding H to X. So that won't change these numbers. But for your Y values, pick up your calculator, multiply them by -1, and then add 2 all the way down. If you don't see a calculator on your desk, it's probably under your desk. It's under your desk. 5, 6, 7, they don't get to use calculators, so sometimes they forget to pull them back out. So take a couple minutes and find your 4 Y values. You should notice that your Y values are getting smaller, and that's because this one is reflected down. So I had 2, 1, 0, -1. Who had those 4 numbers? All right, let's go ahead and graph it. 0, 2, 1, 1, 4, 0, 9, -1. So it's just gonna go down. That should be your graph. So your domain for any square root function is going to be h to infinity. So that's your domain, h to infinity. And h is 0, so that means our domain would be bracket 0 to infinity. Now, looking at the board, remember the range can be written 2 different ways, either k to infinity or -infinity to k. Now, when your numbers are getting smaller, that means I'm going to do it -infinity to k because the numbers are getting smaller. They're less than 2. That's how you write y is less than or equal to 2. So we're going to write that -infinity, 2, and the 2 gets a bracket. All right, go to your notes. We're going to go back to building cakes. If you had Mr. Krutz or Miss Guyman, I'm pretty sure they also build cakes. So we're only going to do a few questions, and then we're going to start our homework together. So in your notes, go to page 10. When you build cakes, you build it with prime numbers. These are the first 4 prime numbers, okay? These are numbers that can only be divided by itself in 1. So let's look at the 18. Take that 18. I want you to build a cake with it. You're only dividing it by, hold on, let me move that over because that's kind of far down. You're only going to divide it by numbers in that red box. So first I'm going to divide it by 2. 2 goes into 18 9 times. 9 cannot be divided by 2, so I'm going to switch to 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 3 goes into 3 1 time. So I got my candle at the top. When you don't see a number in the elbow, kids I had last year, what am I looking for? Twins or triplets? When you don't see a number in the elbow, twins, right? I'm looking for pairs. So when I look at my cake, notice I have one pair of threes. So that 3 can come out. Then I also have 2 variables. I have 2x, x times x. So I can make one pair with my x's. That can also come out. And when you make your hood, the only thing that stays is what did not have a partner. And what's the only thing that was left out? A 2. This is my answer. All right, let's go to question B. Build a cake with the 32. So you're going to divide this one. I think this one you're going to use 2 all the way to the top. So just keep dividing it by 2 until you get your birthday candle at the top. So remember, when you build a cake, you're only using the numbers you see in that red box. So you can't build a cake with a 4. That's not a prime number. 2 goes into 32 16 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So this is a pretty tall birthday cake. Now I am looking for twins. So notice I have 1, 2 sets of twins. So I'm going to write, I have 2 to the power of 2. That's what that means. I have 2 sets of twins. Now let's look at my zebras. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's circle the twins. I have 1, 2. Zebras are my favorite zoo animal. One of them anyway. All right, so 2 sets. And I always put a line through my Z because a Z looks a lot like a 2. And I don't want people to confuse it. So I got 2 sets of Z's. That comes out. All right, so now I'm just going to make my little roof. And what has to stay under the roof is what didn't have a partner. So this 2 didn't have a partner, and a Z didn't have a partner. So keep those 2 under. Last thing we're going to do is simplify this. We don't leave numbers with exponents. What is 2 to the power of 4? 2 to the power of 4 means 2 times 2. Did I say 2 to the power of 4? 2 to the power of 2. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. My brain is always one step ahead of my lips. So this will be my final answer. This is how I want you to write it when you have your quiz. 4z squared, and then square root 2z. We are on page 10 in our notes. All right, so now I'm going to give you all a second. I want you to try. Build your cake with the 12. And then we're looking for twins. I have 1x, 9 yellow bananas, 4. So I'm going to give you a second. Finish that one out. Definitely need more coffee today. do it. So I can divide, first I'm going to divide it by 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 can go into 6 3 times. 3 goes into 3 1 time. So I have one set of 2s that can come out. Then I can't take out any x's because I only have 1. Show me with your fingers how many sets of twins did you make with the y's? Yep, 4. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be y to the 4th. Okay, and what is left over? So what didn't have a partner was a 3, a x, and a y. They all have to stay. So this was last semester. This semester, we're going to do operations with square roots and cube roots. Okay, so we're going to do a few together, and then we'll start our homework together. So today we're going to focus on the ones. What do you do when you multiply? So the first thing we're going to do is we don't build a cake until we multiply. So what are we multiplying? We're multiplying numbers on the outside. So what is 3 times 2? So that's going to be outside. And then we're going to multiply what's inside. So multiply your numbers. So I have a 5 times 10. 5 times 10 is 50. And then what do you do with your exponents when you multiply variables? Anybody remember? You add them. Let me write that. When you're multiplying variables, that's when you add the exponents. So if I'm multiplying x squared times x to the 4th, that would be what? X to the what? 6. Good. All right, now we're ready to look for our twins. So let's build a cake with the 50. And then we're going to see how many sets of twins we can make with 6 x's. All right, so again, remember, whenever you build a cake, you're only using the numbers that you see in the back in red, 2, 3, 5, 7. All right, we won't have to go any higher than that. You can build your cake and get to the candle with a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 7. So we're going to start off with 2. 2 goes into 50 25 times. Now 3 won't go into 25. So we're going to go to what number? 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. And 5 goes into 5 1 time. So we have our birthday candle. All right, so what's different about this is the 6 is still out there. So I have a 6 outside, and I'm going to add to it a set of 5s. So I'm going to multiply that 6 times 5. And then with my x's, I have 1, 2, 3 sets. So that would be x to the 3rd. So now the only thing that has to stay is the 2. So the 2 is there by itself. Your last step is if you have more than one number on the outside, you have to multiply them. So we can't leave that as 6 times 5. We're going to change it to 30 x cubed root 2. And that is the focus of today. So it's a little bit different than what you learned first semester, just a tiny bit. Okay, we're going to do a couple more and then we'll start working on homework together. Let's look at question E. Multiply first. So I have a 2 and a 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm multiplying these together. And then I'm going to make my radical. And then under the radical, I have 4 times 6. So I have a 24. And then how many y's do I have? 1 plus 3, which is 4. All right, let's go ahead and build our cake. So with the 24, go ahead and build your cake. And then with the Y's, circle your sets of twins. Okay, so 2 can go into 24 12 times. 2 can go into 12 6 times. 2 can go into 6 3 times. 3 can go into 3 1 time. So we got our candle. So we can bring out a 2. So there's already a 2 out there. And I'm bringing out another 2. That's going to come out. All right. With the Y's, how many sets of twins could I make with 4 Y's? 2. 1, 2. That's going to come out. All right, so now let's make our square root. And what has to stay is a 3 and a 2. Now those are that's 3 times 2. That's what's under there. So now all we need to do is simplify this out. What do you get when you multiply 2 times 2? 4 y squared, and the square root of, what's 3 times 2? 6. That would be your final answer. All right. I know this is something new. I'm just going to ask thumbs up, sideways, down. I'm just trying to see where we at. We're going to keep practicing. But how do we feel about multiplying? I need everybody to respond. Are we good? We kind of get it. We have no clue. I'm talking a whole nother language. Where we at? Okay. All right. I can take that. All right. So I'm going to skip G, but let's go to F. So we have a 4 on the outside. So we're multiplying 4 times 1, so that would be a 4. And then underneath my radical, I have 5 times 2, which is 10. And p squared times p, which is p cubed. All right, so let's see what we can get. So with that 10, when I build my cake, notice that I don't get any sets of twins. 10 has no twins. So that whole 10 has to stay where it's at. We cannot take out any parts. All right, does that make sense? Because we don't have a pair or a set of anything. With my 3 pizzas, though, I can take out 1 set. So the only thing I'm going to bring out to go with the 4 is a p. So I'm going to have 4p, and then square root, I have this whole thing. I have the 5, the 2, and the p. 5 times 2 is 10, so 10p is what I have left. 10p. Okay, one more, and then we're going to start working on our homework. We're going to do 2 questions today. I'm going to do 2 questions with you, and then you're going to do 3. Okay, let's go to the next row and do H. So the only thing we have on the outside is a -5. Let's build our radical. Pick up your calculators and multiply 15 times 8. What'd you say it was, Isaiah? 120. It's Isaiah, right? Is it Isaiah? Okay. So we got 120. Now, I don't have any of the same letters, so I can't multiply anything, right? We got 2 P's and 1 J. So we can't multiply anything. I'm just going to write them right here. And then we're ready to simplify. So I'm going to make my 2 little, that's my that, and then let's make our cake with the 120. Again, you're only using 2. Start off with 2. Then when you can't use 2 anymore, try 3. And if 3 doesn't work, you try 5. That's a 5-layer cake right there. We got a lot of people coming to this party. So what can I bring out with the 5, with the -5? What do I have a set of? 2s. That's the only thing that I can bring out is that set of 2s. So what I have is -5 times 2. I also have 1 set of pizzas that I can bring out. That's it. That's all I can bring out. So underneath, I have a 2, a 3, a 5, and a J. So that would be 2 times 3 times 5 and the letter J. So we're just going to simplify it. So we're going to take the -5 times 2, which gives us what? -10. And then underneath the square root, I want you to multiply 2 times 3 times 5. And you should get 30. And that is your final answer. All right, so now let's go to homework 2. Homework 1 is due today. I think most people turned it in. I am going to put those in the grade book today. Make sure you get it turned in today. The way that works is, even if you don't have it done today, still turn it in next week, because a 6 out of 10 is better than a 0 out of 10, okay? All right, so can you write on homework 2 that it is due next Friday? Homework 2 is due next Friday, which is January 16th for full credit. All right, so we're going to do number 2 together. So let's look at number 2. So let's build our cake with the 18. I should probably put it on this side. Build your cake with the 18. And then we got a lot under there. We got to look for twins. So we got 6 apples, 3 bananas. I can't think of a fruit that starts with a C. So carrots, 5 carrots. Now I'm gonna let you all build your cake and make and look for your pairs. Then we'll go through it. All right, so 2 can go into 18 9 times. 3 can go into 9 3 times. And 3 can go to 3 1 time. Who had a cake? A 3-layer cake. We had 3 layers on our cake? Okay. So let's look for what we can take out. I got 1 set of 3s. Bring that out. Apples. Show me with your fingers how many sets of pairs, or how many pairs did you make with the apples? 3. Show me with your fingers. What about the bananas? How many pairs? Okay. And lastly, with the carrots, how many pairs? Okay. I feel like, we're going to see. I'm not going to get excited. I feel like y'all getting it, though. All right. So now we're going to make our little, I like to call it a roof or a gel. I have a 2 under there. I have, wait, I didn't do that right, did I? Hold on, let me fix that. Should be a set. There you go. All right, I have a 2 under there. I have 1 B under there, and I also have 1 C. So my answer would be, this would be my final answer. All right, let's go skip all the way down to the bottom. And let's do number 7 together. Let's go ahead and multiply first, and then you're going to build your cake. So 3 times 8, you got a 24 on the outside. And then we have 5 times 10, which is 50. Y times Y is a Y squared. And then we have a Z. All right, go ahead and build your cake with the 50 and look for pairs. Okay, so you should have 1 set of twin 5s. That's going to come out with the 24. I also have a set of twin Ys. That's going to come out. That's all that can come out. And left under, I have a 2 and a Z. So the only thing you need to do is multiply that 24 times 5 on the outside. See what that is. Go ahead and multiply that. If you have more than one number on the outside, you have to multiply it. If you have more than one number on the inside, you have to multiply it. So what is 24 times 5? What you get? So my final answer is 120 Y square root of 2Z. So for today, because again, if you do, I know it's a lot of questions on the homework. We're going to chunk it up. So today, what I want you to work on are numbers 1, 12, and 13. Those are the only 3 that I want you to work on. 1, 12, and 13. And then next week, we'll pick 2 or 3. We'll do 2 or 3 a day. By Thursday, it'll be done and you can turn it in. Okay?